I hope you're all suitably refreshed, had some nice cakes, teas, coffees, ready for some of the practical bits and pieces we're going to take you through this afternoon. So Jonathan has obviously laid the foundations really well. Everything that he's gone through, it's a real kind of condensed version of the process that you need to go through before you start really configuring your system and actually getting on with some of the detail and the nitty-gritty of what you're going to set up and do. The first step after you've been through all of that great work is that you're going to need to create an engagement value scale. So engagement value is the concept that underpins really everything about Sitecore and the DMS, because at Sitecore we believe that it's not just about how many visitors you've got, it's not just about volume, it's about the value that they're bringing to you. We see it as a really powerful additional measure that's telling you how engaged your audience is with what's on your site, and it allows you to measure the effectiveness of your marketing and all the activity that you do, not just in terms of how many people have you brought, but how engaged is that audience. And really it underpins everything in the DMS. So if you want to actually start using all of our analytics and all of our reporting, then you're going to need to set up value for the goals and for everything that you're tracking so that you've got some good numbers in there. And this sets you up data-wise, and this sets you up in your DMS journey. And this is the best thing about visitor engagement value and the engagement value scoring concept, is the fact that it's captured at visitor level. So you're not just saying, okay, my audience is this engaged across the board and getting some aggregate numbers. You're actually able to pinpoint, okay, this person here has accrued this many engagement points as they've gone through my site across XYZ amounts of visits. And then when you see them again, you're able to actually do something about it. So you can say, okay, this person has arrived, or a person with an engagement score above a certain threshold has arrived at my site, and I'm now going to do something about it. So that's just absolutely fantastic, without doubt. It means that you can actually start measuring the engagement and the value of your anonymous traffic. You can actually start measuring this stuff before people have ever given you any data. You can measure it before they've registered, before they've purchased, before they've given you their email address. As soon as they get there, we're tracking, are they clicking on things? What are they doing? Are they how many page views are they turning? What are they doing? And what is the value assigned to that? So that's all held by us against every visitor that we see in Sitecore. So, a brilliant foundation for everything that you do. Now, in terms of setting up an engagement value scale, what you need to do is you need to spend time together deciding on your goals. So just to recap on what Jonathan was saying earlier, I mean, your goals, they fall out of having done quite a lot of work in terms of understanding your strategic themes and your strategic objectives, working that through to your marketing objectives, and right at the end come your goals. If you skip out the stages that lead to those goals, then you're actually missing a trick, because it's very easy to say, okay, I want people to do this and I want people to do that. But are those things driving value for your business? And there's no point in throwing everything in the kitchen sink at it, because frankly, there's probably only going to be 5 or 10 things on your site that are really giving you business value. So just to remind ourselves, for Office Core, the goals that we set, so these are the things that fell out of our objectives. So the strategic theme that we have as a business is to say, right, we want to be the #1 destination for innovative holiday products. That translates into us wanting to attract, to convert, and to retain and turn into advocates our visitors. Feeding that through into our marketing objectives, that leaves us with 7 goals. They are video views. So we think that video views and what's another one on here? Video views and PDF downloads. There are a couple of relatively kind of low-value things that are showing us, okay, for the people that we're trying to attract, if we're trying to convert a new audience, these are kind of showing us a propensity to perhaps buy something in the future. These are not necessarily people that are going to buy something now, but they're people that are saying, okay, I'm interested in your content, I've come to your site, I'm actually better than someone who's just here just to browse around. Then we've got things like inquiry form completions, purchases. Those things are some of the harder metrics that are to do with, okay, why does this site really exist? So it's to generate demand, it's to generate purchases, and it's to generate revenue for Office Core through these holiday products. We've also got things that are about data, so newsletter signups, social shares, positive reviews, some of those things that people are doing that are kind of that are kind of after a purchase, that are going to make them want to share out everything that they've bought through you. They're going to want to advocate your content and your business to other people. So those kinds of things really fit into that whole engagement loop that you've got with them afterwards, where you can continue the conversation above and beyond a purchase. So this is keeping people interested and keeping people engaged. So you've got your 7 goals. There's no problem, actually. I think Jonathan, when he was talking about this, he said, okay, I've got 9 goals, but that's because there was a couple of them that replicated across a couple of these stages that we're talking about. So this attract, convert, and retain. And that's not a problem at all. All that's really saying to you is, well, perhaps some of these goals that are featuring more frequently are perhaps some of my more important ones. So it's just something to keep in mind as you're kind of working your way through this process. So the next thing that you need to do, once you've got your goals all set out and you know what they are and you've gone through that whole process, and just a caveat, I'm going through this here on my own on a stage in like 15 minutes. This is usually a sort of day's work of thrashing this out between you as a team, so it's important that you obviously actually do that. But you need to sort which ones are the most important to you, and you need to rank them. So not everything on here is going to be as important as everything else. No business is going to want video views at the cost of purchases. No one is going to want a few newsletter sign-ups at the cost of people actually, making inquiries on their inquiry forms. And for Office Core, it being a transactional site, it's a retailer. Purchase is going to be that hard metric that's going to be probably our most important goal that we have on our site. And at Office Core, we're extremely, fantastically brilliant at converting people who inquire. So I'm going to put that next. People who inquire, they're pretty close to buying a product as far as we're concerned. Next up, we've got newsletter signups. So these are people who are actually giving you their data, and that exchange of data has happened, and that's obviously quite high value in this day and age. So you actually start to know who they are, you can talk to them, you can target them, and that's probably going to be quite an important source of traffic for you. We certainly see that newsletters are a strong traffic driver for most of our customers, as well as for ourselves. So newsletters are always going to be important. Then moving down into things like positive reviews. So a positive review is probably quite, it's somewhere in the middle of that kind of scale of importance. A positive review for us at Office Core, it means that somebody's had a positive experience of buying from Office Core, because nobody's really going to leave you a positive review if it's been delivered late, or it was a load of rubbish, or their package was broken, or the product was a load of rubbish. So positive reviews sit somewhere in the middle, and we think that they're also going to encourage other people to buy. So the more positive reviews you have on your site, it means more people are buying, and it's that whole kind of validation by other people that's going to make other people buy, that's going to say, okay, these products are great. Then next, social shares. So people actually pushing your products and your content out to another site. And in the case of Office Core, this is, we want people to say on Facebook, look at this brilliant GoPro camera. I've just gone and bought it on Office Core, brilliant, and it raises awareness. It's that whole brand thing. It's everything that's good about social. Now, PDF downloads. In the case of Office Core, we see PDF downloads as being something that indicates that someone has a strong product interest. So in our world, PDF downloads are product instructions, product details, that kind of thing. So they indicate a really strong product interest, and so they're there relatively, they're not too far up, because obviously it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to buy, but they're still something that we want to place value on. And then finally, video views. So this is people looking at our products and playing a video and going, right, okay, I'm interested in Office Core, I'm interested in these products, I'm an engaged type of person. We typically find that people have between 5 and 10 goals of value on their site, as I said before. There are probably hundreds of things that you could assign or that you could include as goals on your site. So things like carousel interactions, things like banner clicks, things like a simple page view or a button click. And you can certainly track those in Sitecore. But when it comes to an engagement value scale, you want to keep it to the things that are going to give you really good data, and keep it kind of limited, because if you put too much in, your data is going to become, big data is fine, but overly big data, that's going to become messy, and you're tracking things that are probably not that important to you, and there's just no point in actually going down that route, because you'll be tracking more than you need to. Keep it to the things that you need. We typically find between 5 and 10, although you could have less. You could have 2 or 3 if you've got some really important things that you want people to do and you only want to track those. So it's absolutely fine, and you need to think about what feels comfortable for you and for your business. So then the next step is that you need to assign a value to these goals. Now, sounds simple enough, right? So we've ordered them and we've gone, Okay, here's my most important goal, here's my least important goal. How do you then start thinking about what is the scale that you're going to measure the value on? It's important that you really choose a sensible scale when it comes to assigning engagement value, because if you make it too small, all of your numbers and all of your data will normalize out and flatten too quickly. So if you've got 7 goals and you just rank them 1 to 7, then you're just going to end up with a load of flat data. Similarly, if it's too big, if you've got 1 to 50,000 or 1 to 1,000, you're going to end up with peaks and troughs, and you're going to have some people that have got an engagement value of 1, some that have got an engagement value of 10,000. And again, it's too big, and the variance between your visitors is too great. It doesn't normalize out enough. So at Sitecore, you know, we can't be accused of not eating our own dog food. We do all of this on our site, as you can imagine, and so we have experienced that a scale of about 1 to 100 is a really good starting point. It gives you enough of a range to be able to say, okay, the relative value of this action versus that action, this goal versus that goal is this. So you can start at 1 and you can work your way up to 100. You've got the ability to say, okay, this is worth double that, this is worth 3 times that, and it gives you that flexibility to be able to really start seeing the differences and actually assigning really high values to some of the things that really matter to you. Now, going through that process for the goals that I've ranked already, I've got purchase, I've got my form complete, newsletter sign up, positive review, social share, PDF download, and video view. I'm just going to show you in one go the values that I've assigned, and then I'm going to quickly run through why I've assigned those values to those particular goals. So thinking of that scale of 1 to 100, purchase is obviously the most important thing that somebody is going to do on the type of site that we're talking about with Office Core. If you have a site where you're getting people to do something other than purchase, you're still going to have a main action that you want somebody to take. So always, obviously, give that the highest value that you can. Next, we've got the form complete, and as I said, we're fantastic. We at Office Core know that we're fantastic at converting some of those inquirers into purchases, so I've given that a score of 90, which is really quite close to 100, but that's because we've taken the time. We know that if somebody has completed a form, they've made a request to us for information, they're more than likely to complete. We've got a fab sales team, they ring up and they go, yes, here's your contact, and now off you go, and we're going to convert this person into somebody who's going to buy. Now, moving down to newsletter sign-up, you can see that the difference between that and a purchase is a bit more, because newsletters they're about that conversation, but they're intrinsically valuable to us because they're an exchange of data, and by knowing who somebody is, we're in a really good position to keep talking to them. And for us at Office Core, it means that we can send them out our promotions, we can send them out discounts, we can send them out personalized offers, and actually that all feeds back into the whole data piece, because we will know who these people are, and if they hit certain points, we can, using the Sitecore system, we're not going to go through this at all today in particular detail, but we can start triggering some of those automated campaigns that are once they hit certain thresholds. So a newsletter sign up for us is really important. And then a positive review, I've ranked that as having an engagement value score of 50. So that's about half of a purchase. That's because if somebody who's leaving a positive review, they've already purchased, and actually by leaving a positive review, they're saying, I'm quite likely to come back and purchase again. So we think at Office Core that a positive review is about the value of about half a purchase. And you can see here that it's important that you're able to scale up and down and have that movement in between the different values that you assign. Then the jump down to social share, we're talking about a 30 engagement value score there. Again, a social share is valuable to us because we're reaching a new audience, we're reaching new people, we're thinking about, okay, our content is going out there and people are engaging with it in new ways, and that's driving traffic to us. Not as important as a positive review, perhaps not as important as a newsletter sign up, but up there. And then finally down at the bottom, those kind of lower value actions that I talked about at the beginning that are really telling you, okay, somebody is interested in our content. They're downloading PDFs, they're watching videos, and they're saying, okay, I'm engaged, I'm interested, I'm on your site, I've seen something that I like, and I'm now going to start looking at some of your content. I'm perhaps not ready to buy yet, but I've certainly got a propensity to buy more than perhaps someone who's just come along, bounced, and has done nothing. So really what you're doing with your engagement value there is that you're laying a bit of a trail, a bit of a breadcrumb trail through your site that's leading somebody through to a purchase. So you're going from that lowest value action, which is a video view, which somebody might trigger as they first arrive. I might do that on the homepage. But once I've done it, not only is Sitecore saying to you, okay, this person has engaged, when they next come back, we've stored that against that person. They're anonymous, but they come back, we can say, okay, they've watched a video. They're more engaged than somebody that we haven't seen before. And then as people are moving their way through, we're accruing those engagement value points against them. And as a system, we're then able to recognize this person has come along and they've got a high engagement value. Brilliant, let's give them a special offer to make them buy. Or we might say, okay, somebody is quite low on that scale. What can we do to convert them? So you can see that this kind of way of thinking about the actions and the goals on your sites is really underpinning what you can kind of do with the system, and how important it is that you lay it out correctly and that your foundations as you're thinking about this are sound and that they're solid. The other thing to remember is that, okay, you can try this stuff out, and maybe if it doesn't work, you might need to tweak it. That's absolutely fine again. As I said, at Sitecore, we're doing this stuff on our own site, so if you're ever there and you know, you're doing things, you can be sure that we're tracking all of that stuff. And we have learned through experience, like I say, there's scales that we've tried out in the past and we've tweaked it, and this is what we've arrived at. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that as you go along. So, you know, you're starting, you're learning, see how you go, and then take it from there. I mean, the important thing is as well, if you've got data that allows you to say, okay, this is worth relatively this much versus something else, then obviously you can plug that in as well. But certainly if you're starting from fresh, this score of 1 to 100 is a really good starting point. So then, that's an engagement value scale. I mean, it's a reasonably straightforward concept when you go through it like that, but it is important that you take all of those steps that lead you up to that point. The whole engagement value concept, as I say, it really underpins everything within Sitecore. And you know, as I've said before, and as Jonathan reiterated, you have to give these things the time to do them properly, because you'll be thankful that you did. It's a really important early step that you need to take. And in order to do it well, you need to sort your goals. You need to say, okay, we as a business, as a team, what is the most important thing to us, and how does that rank down towards the least important? Don't include things that are going to just be kind of adding noise to your data and adding kind of confusion to your numbers at the end. Include only those things that really genuinely have business value. It sounds reasonably straightforward, but you would be surprised the amount of debate and argument that can be had about that kind of thing. And finally, choose a scale that allows you to really assign the relative value to those goals. So give yourself the room to maneuver between goals. Give yourself the room to say, okay, this one is worth really a very high amount, this one is worth a low amount, and relatively speaking, this is what they're worth, because you don't want to have people, you don't want to assign a high value to something like watching a video, because people might be taking lots of those kinds of actions and hitting lots of those kinds of goals, which again messes up your data. So that's it. That's an engagement value scale in a nutshell, in a short whistle-stop tour. I'm now going to hand over to Anthony, who is behind that door. He's going to take you through. You're going to. He's going to show us. You're going to witness live before your very eyes how to set up a goal in Sitecore. So please welcome Anthony.